This is the Grapple of Your Eye Show, episode 49, Casey Belsey. Welcome to the Grapple of Your Eye Show. We are now at episode 49. It's getting bigger and older each week. I am your host, Brett Summers, and today we are joined by a black belt in Judo and Sambo, a British Judo champion, an 8-time British Championship medalist, a 4-time British Sambo champion. He has represented Great Britain in Judo and Sambo, and now co-runs the Island Sambo Club. So, yeah, I think I've got everything in there. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Casey Belsey. Thank you for joining us today, sir.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
I think I got it all in.
I was sitting there thinking, God, am I sounding a bit sort of like braggadocious there? But
no, you've done it. You've done it. You should do it by all means. It just shows, and it's your to anyone not listening. Going, well, who's he? What's he done? There you go. Yeah. So. Yeah, our first question for anyone who's ever been on the show, Casey, first timer, is always, where did it begin for you?
So, yeah, I was about 4 or 5, I believe. So my dad was a judo instructor at a local judo club on Isle of Sheppey. So as I was so young, I don't really have conscious thoughts and memories of going, oh, I really want to try judo. It was just more of my dad was volunteering and coaching. And I was with him, probably just running around. And then as time went on, I then started doing the classes. So, yeah, about 4 or 5. And then always stuck to it. So by the time I was kind of 8, 9, 10 years old, and then find myself in the Kent team, Kent champion, and then the Southern England team, Southern England champion. And then by the age of 12, I entered my first British Judo Championships and won a bronze medal. And I think at that point it was the realization that this could be something big and something big to pursue. Obviously, I've got 2 older brothers. One of them, called Lewis, is really into football and golf, but my other brother, Brad, was into judo as well. So I had him as an inspiration too, as well as my dad that was winning medals at everything I just mentioned too. So yeah, then it just pretty much most of my life until my mid-20s was all revolved around that high level judo. And then probably at 20, I found Sambo. I knew about Sambo for quite a while, but Sambo and judo are almost like twins. I would compare them to pool and snooker in terms of differences. Very similar skill, but slightly different rules. So as my judo career was kind of not tailing off, but was sort of running down a little bit, I then decided to train at the local Sambo Club, which happened to be the best and most elite club in the whole of the country. So the level of training was exactly the same. And then I found myself competing in British Championships, winning a few of those, competing in the World Championship. So things didn't really tail off at all. It then went from an elite end of judo to then elite end of Sambo, which I think's made me a very well-rounded grappler, because both sports, yes, very similar, but the differences kind of even each other out and make you more of a well-rounded fighter in that regard.
Oh, excellent. So going back to the judo end of it, I mean, you're starting at a young age, and and there is that thing with martial arts, isn't there, where like a lot of kids get into. I mean, obviously you probably have a choice because you had to. But that thing where a lot of kids go into it and it's fun for a while, and then they kind of it peters out a bit. What was it? Where was that point maybe for you? I don't know if you can remember better, but when you're doing it as a kid and you're like, actually, because you said a bit when you got a bit older, there was that bit of, maybe I can do some of this. But was there a bit when you're a kid, maybe you're doing these tournaments and things that suddenly, you're not just going for something to do, it's becoming something that actually makes sense to you is becoming a discipline as such, rather than just on Thursdays I go to judo, on Fridays I go swimming, or whatever. Can you remember when was that sort of moment for you?
So first of all, just at the beginning, up until that point, it always just felt like so much fun. It never really felt like I was sort of progressing, and I guess I was in kind of like a bubble of like how good I was getting, I suppose, because like at the judo club, I'd always be excited to go because all my friends were there. And like before and after class, we'll be running around and playing football, or we'd bring tennis rackets. And then after the class, my dad would be teaching the adults, and we'll be running around like lunatics.
Yeah.
So, so for a long time, it was all just about the fun. But I guess that point where it's almost overnight become serious is when I won that first bronze medal at the British Championships when I was 12. I then received a letter in the post congratulating me for being selected for the British team, along with a Union Jack to sew on my judo gi. And then I was invited to Sheffield on a Sunday morning at 9 a.m. it started. So we probably had to leave about 4 or 5 a.m. And the training was 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And it was the most intense, hard training that I've ever done. And everyone else who was in the British team as well, who were very good, were there too. And all of a sudden it felt, yes, it was fun, but it was, oh wow, this is different now. I'm aching, I'm tired, I'm a little bit apprehensive because I don't know everyone. And yeah, it's from there it completely changed. And then all of a sudden it was a lot more serious. Still always enjoyed it, never stopped enjoying it. But then there was a bit more, I don't want to say on the line, but if you're in the British team, you want to get in it again and again and again. So
Yeah. So did
so
you,
yeah, that's
as
when
it
it.
went on then? So as you then carried on competing and stuff, I mean, how was that sort of pressure? Because, like you say, the British team is sort of, if I'm right, you've almost got to keep winning to stay in, haven't you? Is that
Yeah.
kind of sort of standard of it, and what was that like now as you're going to, because you've gone to competitions, you're winning them, yeah, fine.
Yeah,
But now you suddenly go in, you got that Union Jack zone on, and
yeah,
is it a heavy flag? Sure, you say?
yeah. So I can hear my dad in my ear. So my dad was brilliant because he'd done it. So he understood what the sport was all about at a high level. So he said to me, now you've got that Union Jack on your chest, you've got a huge target on your back. Because the guys that finished fourth or fifth, they're very good, but they want your place. And when you're competing against you, they see that Union Jack that they were that close from getting. So the second year, I didn't get in the team. So I still won the medal in the British Championships, but for whatever reason, I didn't get selected that year. And I think that's when it kind of dwelled on me. It was crushing to take that at 13. It was hard just to get a letter in the post this time saying you haven't been selected this time. But that was probably the toughest thing I've had to deal with at that point.
That point, yeah. So
But
what does being on the British team involve? Because a lot of people, they hear this thing and say, "Oh, I made the British team with this or that." So for judo, like you said, obviously the travelling and the training and that sort of thing. I mean, were you fighting abroad? What does the
yeah,
British team life sort of involve for people who might
so
be
it
aiming for that?
was.
Or
So I think it's hard to remember now because it was a while ago, but I think every 2 months we had to meet for British team training, which was in Sheffield. So for us, it was quite a long way to get there, but it was compulsory attendance. If you didn't go, you wasn't selected.
yeah,
When you were training all day, all of the coaches are standing there with a pen and paper, making notes of you and your performance, of strengths, weaknesses, things to work on. So it's very intense. I've gone from that real fun environment of just enjoying it to every second, and then all of a sudden, wow, I'm like under scrutiny, and I've never really experienced that before. And then you're getting selected for events and going abroad with people you don't really know or have only really seen as rivals. And then all of a sudden, you're sitting next to them on a coach, just sharing a room with them. They're your teammates. So I'd say the stuff off the mat was hardest for me to to really get used to, because naturally I'm quite introverted. I've got better and better as I've got older, and the job I do has helped with that. But at that age, I was really thrown amongst the wolves. I had to kind of fend for myself, and I had to be a bit more social. Otherwise, I'll just struggle a little bit. So, and then I'm competing without my dad there. I've never done that before. My dad and my brother's always been at every single competition.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, they're not there. So I think that first year I was in the team, I'd say my confidence probably went down a little bit because it was almost a little bit overwhelming. So that second year, I didn't get selected in the team, and that was crushing. It really hurt. And then the next year, I come back and won gold because it just really lit a fire under me.
Point, yeah.
I don't want to experience that feeling ever again. But any sportsman I know, it's all up and downs. One minute you're on top, and the next minute you're not. So, but yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot to take in. I'm wearing a Great Britain tracksuit. I'm walking around the airport or the ferry wearing my tracksuit and stuff. So it was a lot. Wearing it at school and stuff, bringing my medals in. I'm in the paper. So yeah, at the same time, it was brilliant. But it was, I think, at 12, 13, it was a lot to take in, I think, on reflection.
Yeah. What was it like then as you got older and you sort of, you're then taking that step up from the sort of the junior to the senior thing? What was that like for you? Because again, now you're having all the success at sort of the junior level. What was that sort of step up like? Because again, it can be a big step.
Again, that was probably humbling again. So I've gone from 18, I think I was top 2 in the country at that point. So I had a rival and we were just constantly, I'd win, he'd win, I'd win, I'd win. But we were just neck and neck constantly. And we were kind of seen as the next ones to step up into seniors. But my dad was very good. As I was getting older and growing, judo's a weight class category. So he would always say, if you're above your weight category, you're 17, 18, you need to go up. I'm not having you starve yourself or go on a diet or sit sauna and stuff like that. So
weight cutting, yeah.
He was always clear of, if when you're 18, do what you want, you're an adult, but whilst you're young and growing and all that, then if you're overweight, you're overweight. Your health is more important. So my dad was really a good backbone and really good rock of advice. So yeah, and then I've gone from being the number 1, number 2, to all of a sudden I'm amongst the wolves again, where skill and ability isn't the only thing that kind of gets you through. That's when the experience and the tactics and the aggression in the fighting game comes in. So as I was moving up a weight category as well, so I've gone from gold, silver to 5th, 6th, 7th in the country overnight. So it's then taken me a little while to kind of claw, a good few years actually, to start clawing back to the medals again. But a lot of people go through that, especially in the men, and especially as you're going through the weight categories. You've gone from fighting your same kind of rivals every year because you're the same age to then all of the rivals of 18 to 35 or whatever age people are. There's a wider network of better players then. It was fun, but it was frustrating at the same time. It was like, well, I used to be first, second, or in the medals all the time, and now I'm coming home empty-handed. But I'm better than him. I'm better than that person. But they were more experienced, and they've been around the block a bit more than me. So I think it's like with anything, you just need to keep at it and keep getting that
perseverance. Sort of,
persevering, is the main thing. Yeah, definitely.
So where did that lead in the end? Did you get back into the sort of British side as a senior? Where did that journey take you as you moved up?
More on the fringes, I'd say. As I was getting older, I then started going to university, and the ones that were above me were in full-time training. So they were doing this all day, every day. So as I was studying, I was training less and less. Because in the area in Kent at the time, almost overnight, for whatever reason, high-level training just sort of stopped. So it was hard to find it again. That's what kind of leads me into Sambo, I suppose. So as I got older, I wasn't full-time training. If I went to full-time, the Olympics or whatever probably could have been in the pipeline, because I do believe I was good enough for that, because I was winning national medals every year. So it's definitely could have been something I could have pursued, but I probably would have only finished last year maybe if I did. I'm 34 now and the Olympics are last year. So on reflection, I would have spent the last 10, 15 years all day, every day training. But what do I do next? It's a hard one. On
That
reflection,
happens to a lot of people, though, doesn't it? When they do
yeah,
that, they do that thing
I
through, and then the
definitely,
Olympics goes, and then
yeah,
they sort of. I don't know. I was reading something the other day about somebody who got a gold in the Olympics. Now they're at Tesco's putting things on shelves. You know, it's just sort of it's
yeah.
unfortunate, but it's the sort of the curse of the in Britain, at
I've,
least. Anyway, yeah.
I've known people through judo that I won't name names, but have been world champion and in the Olympics that then later on can't cope with the stresses of life. So I'm not saying that's ever what's going to happen to me, but I don't know. It is something that's in my mind a lot of, maybe if I did go full time, I could have made it. But even now, my body struggles. Even now, I'm sort of aching in the morning, I have problems with my back, and I've had quite a few issues with concussions and my knees and stuff. So I've still been training very hard over the years, but I don't know. It's one of those. I think for me to really hit the top, you have to just everything else just needs to stop.
No, that's fair enough.
So,
So when did Sambo appear? Was it something you knew about before, or did you suddenly see
yeah,
something? Oh, what's this?
I've always known about Sambo. When I was young, I did do a couple of Sambo competitions as well, because I was always local. So just to keep fresh and ticking over, we'd always enter them. So I didn't know about it, but for a long time, the focus was judo. Can I make the Olympics, get in the British team and all that sort of stuff. So, but as the high level judo for me was kind of, I could feel it slipping a little bit. We decided to give Sambo a go. So me and my brother went to Warriors Grappling Academy, run by the Clark family, who are very famous within grappling. And we started going there, and we soon realised that they were training just as hard as me and my brother were with the Olympic judo team and the British judo team. They were training just as hard. So we were like ducks into water. We loved it straight away because it was right up our street in terms of how hard and intense the training was. And I think after a month of being there, we were quickly asked and wanted by the coaches there to start training for world and European championships, because it's not a given if you're a judo player to be good at sambo and vice versa. Mm-hmm. But like I said before, pool and snooker are very similar sports.
Yeah, that's going to be my next question. What are the main differences? So someone who's listening to this who's got maybe a basic idea of judo or sambo, what are the differences? What's the main sort of in the rule set? Where does the division happen in both?
So in judo, about 2009, 2010, the International Judo Federation banned leg grabs. So basically, double leg takedown, single leg, any attack where your hand touches their leg was an instant disqualification. That completely tipped judo upside down. Because if you think of MMA and fighting and stuff, how many moves happen where you grab the legs? Like quite a lot. Yeah. So, but in sambo, you can grab the leg. So kind of at that time, a lot of judo players like myself and my brother there spent 15, 20 years of having leg grabs in our arsenal. And then all of a sudden, we're not allowed to do it. Very hard to switch that off when it's in your instinct.
I can imagine. Yeah, it's really training, isn't it? It's muscle
literally
memory
overnight.
Yeah,
literally overnight. Oh, you can't do that anymore, and it's like whoa, like. So that was one of the main appeals of it. So in sambo, you can grab the leg. You can do leg techniques. So judo, you wear a gi, which is obviously got trousers and your jacket and your belt. Sambo, you wear shorts and boots, similar to wrestling, but a soft sole. Judo's in a square arena, and sambo's in like a wrestling circle.
Hmm.
So although the skills of the sport of the throw-in and the submissions are similar, judo submissions are strangles and arm locks. In sambo, it's arm lock and leg locks. So I'd never done leg locks ever in judo. It's not something we trained. And then when I got over to sambo, you've got a completely other half of the body you're allowed to attack now. You're allowed to attack the legs from standing with pickups, which I've for a few years I'd had to stop. So that was, oh, I can do that again. But then I had to learn to defend my legs again and defend from leg locks and learn how to apply them as well. So although they're very similar, they are very different as well. And like I said, a good judo player isn't guaranteed to be a good sambo player and vice versa.
What would you say initially when she stepped on the sambo mat? What would you say was initially maybe the the I don't know, it's not your weakness, but maybe that bigger gap. Suddenly you realise you had like maybe a gap in your arsenal. Sort of like, oh man, I need to. This is different. You know
So
what
I think
that one sort of shock it gave you, maybe.
I think the weakness was the legs that I'd been used to for a couple of years of not having people attack my legs from standing, and I've never been leg locked before in my life before starting sambo, and I never applied one. So there's a key way of gaining a victory in sambo is to put someone in submission and they tap out. I've never gone through leg locks, so I think in my first world championships, there's no shock I lost both by a leg lock because I
So
was
what?
still getting used to it. So
Yeah, yeah, and adapting. Yeah, no,
yeah.
that makes sense. So, what was it like then? So, you started training. They've asked you to sort of step up and go, "Hey, we think you guys can, try out for the big tournaments." What was it like again stepping up for that then? And because you're saying you got this sort of elite crew around you, and
Hmm.
you're coming in. Was anyone sort of like, oh, it's the judo guys, or was everyone just sort of all into? Like, is it another judo guy coming to show us how to do it, or was it sort of was
If
everyone
if
just supportive?
if
Because
they were,
I know it can be a bit
yeah.
things can be like that sometimes.
If they were, I didn't know about it. Me and my brother always were made to feel really welcome,
Oh, that's good to hear. Yeah,
and the guys there that had been lots of them were judo players before as well. So I'm pretty sure most of them at the top level had done judo at some point. So they all kind of knew what are the main things that we had to learn. So a lot of the guys really kind of took us under their wing and showed us leg locks and told us to look out for this and that. So if that happened, I didn't really know about it. In the back of my mind, I thought maybe, well, here we go, judo guys. They think they're just going to walk into it and be just as good as they are at judo. If it was happening, I didn't know about because we were made to feel so welcome and wanted, I suppose, because the core skills there are similar. So if you can adapt those core skills, a very good judo player can be a good sambo player and vice versa if you can adapt
yeah,
those skills. It took a good couple of years to adapt. Definitely on that international level, I'd say.
yeah.
Because you're
So,
now
what was it like then
fighting.
taking the steps on to like these big international tournaments as a you've done it as judo, but as sambo, what was that like? Was it a similar kind of mind? I suppose in some ways it is a similar mind, but like you say, you still got that like, oh, I'm not sure about the leg or not. What was that sort of environment like?
The environment was duck into water because you got to weigh in still. You've got to cut weight. You're in a warm up area. You're wearing a tracksuit. You walk around the airport in your tracksuits and stuff. You've got spectators asking for pictures and stuff, which is really nice. So that part of it was the same. My main anxiety was just I need to learn the rules quickly and adapt because I've only had a handful of tournaments, whereas judo I've had 400 or something.
Yeah,
So I'm so experienced with it, whereas Sambo, I'd only had a handful at that stage. So compared to other countries in Sambo like Russia, who invented it and win everything, basically, a lot of their athletes are pure Sambo athletes and don't go over to judo. So haven't got that adaptation because they're pure Sambo athletes. So the level of their athletes was completely different. Whereas when would compete against someone in Great Britain or Western Europe, you could tell that they've done judo at some point. Whereas when you fight the Eastern Europeans, the style is so different. That's when the adaptation really started, and it was learning on the job, to be honest. Finishing
What
that
what
first one.
what makes the style different? What is it? Are it certain moves that they're going for, or is it like an
Really hard
approach?
to
Or
really hard to explain.
yeah,
I guess I can think of everything. In judo, you're bare feet. In sambo, you're wearing boots that are quite slippy. So that's the first thing for me. People listening probably think what you're on about, but it does make such a big difference going from boots to bare feet. Second is judo's in a square and then sambo's in a circle. That makes a big difference as well because there's times in judo where you'd stop because you're out the square, but in sambo you carry on because you circle around.
yeah, right,
So
yeah,
again, that to people listening, they'll be like, but people that have done both would definitely, or wrestling would definitely
yeah,
understand, I think.
yeah.
And then in judo, when you grip your opponent, judo rules and referees are quite well known for being very strict and almost a bit OTT on the rules. They're a bit kind of penalty heavy. So if you do something wrong, you'll get a point against you. So you're used to kind of fighting with that, can't do this, can't do that, because I'll get in trouble. Whereas Sambo, most of those restrictions are gone. So all of a sudden, someone can grip me in a way that you can't in judo for a certain amount of time. And that was the main adaptation, was forgetting habits that I had to go through because of the judo rules. That was the hardest thing, to turn your instincts off.
And what about the different styles? And like you're saying, there you're fighting like Russian guys who were doing it all their life. Did they bring a different approach or a different element to how they would sort of conduct themselves in the match? Were there different like techniques or styles in that, or maybe how they lock up, or how ever that you suddenly thought, okay, this is a different,
So
because again, there's so many grappling styles, and like Sambo, I imagine, like most of the others, has got its own sort of like dialects of
mhm.
from around the world
Yep,
of
yep.
people who do it and their own little ways of doing it. Yeah. So what was that like?
So in judo's, I don't want to be critical of sambo, but judo's a bit more quicker and dynamic in the gripping. So when you're getting your grip, it's a bit more fluid, a bit more relies on agility and speed, and probably just that's the way the game's evolved. It become less about the big throws and more about just beating the system and not getting and outworking your opponent so they get penalized. And if a big throw or submission happens, great. But if I can not bend the rules, but utilize the rules against my opponent and outwork him, I'll probably get the win. Whereas I grip and move very quickly and rely on speed and movement, and all of a sudden in Sambo I'm fighting a Russian or a Bulgarian that will just grip me and stop me dead. And all of a sudden my biggest strength is my agility, my speed, and my fitness. I'm trapped. I'm almost sort of like shackled because I can't move. And I've never felt that. Whereas in Sambo, just grabbed me and pinned me in. And I'm like, whoa, I'm trapped in. And I'd never really gone through that before, because you're not allowed in judo just to pin them and keep them still, because you'll get a penalty against you for being negative. Whereas Sambo, the leniency on that is a lot higher, and it does develop more of a clash of styles, I'd say. Whereas I'd say now in modern elite judo, they're all very similar, and the game has become about who's the best athlete, I think, rather than who's the best fighter. I don't mean
Yeah.
to criticize anyone. They're all very, very highly skilled at Olympic level, but I think sometimes the best athlete will probably win the gold. Whereas Sambo, it was about your style and your technique, which I guess going down to nitty gritty is what it should be about for me. About your skills and the clash of styles, and how after that first tournament at a world level, was like, okay, I need to really start adapting to this kind of style more, because it was different for me. It was alien. I'd never really gone through it.
So when you came back from that, then what sort of points did you give yourself in training? Was it like a certain Was it like they say? Was it the grip inside of it, or was it just sort of the maybe the movements or
I
the
think it was
lickets?
to try and not forget, but switch my judo habits off. So I typically would fight at a very sort of upright style because in judo I don't need to worry about my legs in
Yeah,
competition, whereas in sambo I had to lower myself because someone could shoot in that and grab my legs at any moment. So that was my main kind of adjustment, going from being upright to a bit lower, slowing myself down as well because I was used to being probably one of the quickest and most agile judo athletes around. I really credit myself for that, but that didn't really work in sambo because you were allowed to fight opponents that could just stop you dead and keep you gripped. So it was yeah, I think just the small adaptations for me,
looking back
and
on it, looking back on it now from like all your experience since. I mean, what do you think would be that one bit of advice would you give yourself on that from that initial jump from judo to sambo? Is it?
um, I think maybe don't think your skills at judo alone will get you through. I think was the main thing. I think what was that never arrogant. That's never been me. But I think because I've been British champion in judo, I'm sure I'll be all right. I've got this.
Yeah.
Whereas it was like I always use the analogy snooker and pool. You're not dead set to
No,
be a
it's a good
champion,
analogy. I
but
like that. Yeah.
that's the closest thing I can think of because they are
No,
so
no, it's
judo
a
and
good.
sambo are so I call them twins. They're so different, but they're almost twins with completely different personalities, I suppose. So
So how does your sambo career move on from there then? So you've had those initial tournaments. It's a couple of years in now. You've made those adjustments. You've got more used to it.
mhm.
Are we still competing at that level? Are you still moving on now? How does it? How are you finding
So
it? Because also is again for this is me listening. I know obviously a bit about sambo. We talked like previously. What's the sambo setup in the UK? Are there regular tournaments? Is there a lot going on?
so in the UK, the Clark, so the president John Clark and the Clark family have done a great job of promoting sambo and pushing it in this country. But I need to make it clear that they've done such a great job at growing the sport. But if you compare the size of judo in this country to the size of sambo, it's much smaller in comparison of funding, members, participants. So I think sambo in this sport still needs to be opened up to everybody because it's probably still quite a not well-known sport, if that makes sense. I think the UFC now is really helping because there's top athletes winning titles that have been previous sambo champions as well, which has really helped. And sambo on a global level is really close to getting into the Olympics. Over the last few years, they've been included in like the European Olympics and the World Games and things like that. So
Yeah.
I think the guys that have produced and spreads the word of sambo in this country have done a great job. I think we just need to all knit together and keep working at it. The level was growing all the time, but I think it's about getting people to try it. If we can get other grapplers, such as judo players and wrestlers, BJJ, to give it a go, we've all got skills that can hopefully adapt into being good sambo players as well. So I think it's about awareness and growing the sport as much as we can.
Excellent. No, 100% on that. With yourself, then, I mean, there's now we'll go on to Island Sambo in a second. But when did the sort of the coaching side of it come in? Was it something you were doing a bit with judo as well, or is it something as you've developed in Sambo, you're like, actually, I'm going to start trying to give a bit back as well, or
So at the kind of end of my career, when going back to kind of an earlier question, there was Great Britain hosted two huge tournaments called the President's Cup,
mm-hmm.
year so back to back years as well. So the first one was that it was the glowing blue water. So we had all the best teams in the world as well as Great Britain and teams from the Commonwealth, 8 of the best teams around, and they'd all go against each other to win the President's Cup. So all of a sudden in this country, you never really have many spectators, but we had, I think there was like 600-700 people that paid to come watch. All the best teams in the world are there. So for me, that's when it really clicked in terms of I've really adapted to Sambo now. Because that tournament, Great Britain won a silver medal, which no one expected that whatsoever. And I thought that probably one of the best I ever had. I won 2 of my matches and lost to a Russian in the final who was a world champion. So, but I gave him a real good match. Whereas in previous world championships against those kind of level of players, their Sambo experience, I really struggled with. Whereas this match, I held my own. So I was like, okay, actually, I think I've really adapted to this. So there was 2 of those big tournaments that we've done. The second one was in Manchester, the President's Cup, and we got a bronze medal that time. And then I won 2 of my matches and lost one again. So I think out of our team, I was amongst the most consistent over those 2 years. 4 wins and 2 losses against some of the top in the world and European medalists. So I was like, okay. But I guess after that, me and my brother, we've always just done it together, and we didn't decide just to have a break together. It just sort of happened. After that, because I've done it all of my life, just went on to other things. Just decided I wanted a little break, but that little break turned into 7-8 years. Just enjoying other things and working on my work career and stuff. So we actually come back last summer. We decided to get back into it again because it never leaves you. And I had that little niggle in my head and that little voice saying, oh, come on, it's probably time to get back. And then very, very, very quickly, we started training at a couple of judo clubs. And our passion for just kind of giving back was, for me and probably Brad and my brother as well, was above our own performance, I think. Because we were going to clubs where there were people with less experience than us. So they were asking us questions and they were asking us to take the class and demonstrate stuff. So and it felt really good to give back. Because we'd never really focused on it. It was all about medals and competing and training hard, whereas all of a sudden, like, actually, and he was getting people the people valuing you just felt a little bit more because we'd be able to give back. So, and then before I know it, my brother messaged me to say I've started a Sambo Club. So almost overnight. Okay, and then since then, that's been a huge part of our life. So.
Okay, so tell us about Island Sambo then. Where is it? What are you doing?
So yeah, Island Sambo, we started last September. So the judo club me and my brother started that was called Island Judo Choir. So that has a real big place in both of our hearts because that's just where we started. And like I said to you before, that club for me was always just about fun and really enjoying it and making friends because at that age it wasn't serious. So we chose that as the inspiration of our name. And then since we've started, we've gone from strength to strength. I'm confident in saying in the year that's gone past, we're probably one of the most elite clubs in the UK for Sambo, just by sheer, I guess, our experiences and determination just to be the best we can.
So if someone was coming along to Island Sambo, what can they expect? What's the sort of, what do you guys teach? Because obviously people are like, well, I know judo, I know jiu-jitsu, but if I go to Sambo, am I just going to get thrown around, or am I going to get what's the sort of what's the expectation as someone comes in? What would be your sort of introduction for them?
I think the first expectation, me and Brad were clear from the beginning. We've always trained hard and we've always worked really hard. So almost putting a disclaimer out there, our sessions are hard. They are intense, but that's just what we know. And I think there's no shielding that this is a physical fighting sport, that they are hard. I think if you do any fighting sport, you need to, whether you just want to do it for fun and enjoyment to keep fit, or you want to win medals and trophies, you need to be able to to cope with that aspect of it. So first and foremost, our lessons are hard. We do a lot of fitness. We do training in an intense manner, but at the same time, we will teach you all the skills that you need to know as well. So we're not naive. Sometimes that could maybe put off some people that maybe don't want that kind of intensity, but our ambitions are to be an elite club. So I think from the get-go, we need to set that in stone as well. But anyone is welcome though. But we always put that disclaimer in at the beginning. You prepared to work hard, because that's what we do here. And I'm confident in thinking most of our guys love that though. I think all the guys that are into it absolutely love how hard our sessions are, and I guess it's not beating around the bush and kidding someone. I think sometimes people can learn skills, but they're not learning it in the right manner. So if it really comes down to
this point's come up quite recently in a few other little podcasts as well along here, and in some of the episodes where people have been talking about how, like, in some of the different styles and that now, the martial is disappearing from the arts, because people are learning all these moves, but the actual bit of it being a fight has been forgotten about, rather than they're just standing there learning all these techniques. And in some ways, for me, it gets a bit strictly, because you can learn all these things, great, and you can do them, but you are in a fight. It is a combat sport, and if you don't like being hit or moved around or thrown, then maybe it might not be for you.
Yeah, because there are people out there, and I have nothing against people that do the sport or judo or sambo in a more kind of laid back way. I have nothing against that. If that's how you want to do it, that's absolutely fine. But for me, I feel the cause of both sports or any martial arts is that you should be able to do it for real, and you should practice sparring, and you should practice the moves at real intensity as well, because you're almost conning people into thinking they are a master of that skill. But if it come down to doing a match or come down to real life, I feel they've not really learnt it, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
I'm trying to be careful so I don't upset people, but at the same time, it's like,
I know the same. I mean, well, there's certain things where I've seen, 9-year-olds walking around with black belts.
Yeah,
and exactly. It's sort of, yeah, I'm pretty sure I can take them, but and it shouldn't be like that. It should be like, yeah, okay. Don't get me wrong, there is the odd child genius every so often that probably could do some damage, but in general, it's certain styles maybe. Whilst the technique and the style is, good, it's, I don't know, things like that sometimes I think push it through and it becomes unrealistic in that manner. Yeah. I'll say it. I'll put my head on the block.
Yeah, no, I think.
But I know what you mean now. I know what you mean, sorry.
Me and my brother have been to a few other places where there is a bit of a clash of styles there, where we might take the lesson and they're used to kind of very, very laid back and kind of just practicing it at their own pace and stuff, and then when we take the lesson, we never just try to kill people just on purpose, and when we do classes that are a bit more to a laid back audience, we do make it for that set audience. We don't just train like an Olympian, for example. They might feel like that.
I imagine you adapt to the people you got, because you say not everyone is a 5-day-a-week athlete. Or say you got people. Of course, we always a school teacher by day. You know what I mean? So that's how my mental training.
We always adapt. We always adapt to the audience, but we always will push you as hard as we feel you can be pushed. So for them, it might feel as bad as it did for me when I was training with the British team, because I'm working my hardest and they're working their hardest. Whereas I think when we've been places they weren't quite used to that, don't feel that maybe they liked it, but that's just our philosophy. We feel we would like you to work as hard.
That's what you bring too. You've got that ethic, and that's what's got you where you've been. So no, I get that. It probably killed me, but at the same time, I salute it. And I totally get that. But what about for you yourself then now, Casey, have you got anything left on your sort of bucket list? You've got the you've got Island Sambo is up and running now and it's getting established. I mean, is there anything else? Is there still that one tournament you've never done yet, or is there any other goals that you've got for yourself as either the Sambo, Judo, or just a grappler in general?
I guess it's split into two as a player and a coach. So
Yeah.
as a player, now I've come back. I come back a year and a half ago and entered some tournaments. My first tournament back was the British Sambo Championships. So my first tournament in 9 years. Entered the British Championships. So I was 33 then, and I'm entering the over 18s, and I got myself a silver medal. So I was like, okay, maybe I've still got this clearly. And at the same time, I was nowhere near as sharp as I was before. I think I come back 6 weeks worth of training before this tournament as well. So I'd only just sort of got back into it. So I
Yeah.
thought, you know what,
The ring rust sort of thing. Yeah.
yeah, might as well do it. But I got myself a silver, which is like, okay. I was expecting to get my ass handed to me a little bit, but the ability is clearly still there. And then I entered the British Judo Veterans Open for judo and got myself a bronze medal, but I injured my shoulder in it last March. So I tore ligaments in my shoulder. So I haven't competed since. So I guess at the same time, it's almost that eye opener of I'm a little bit older now, so I have to be a bit more cautious. I've got work to think of. I've got a young family now. So,
Yeah.
But I'm looking at 2026 thinking I want that British Sambo title for the over 18s. I want to enter the British Judo Veterans, the British Championships, and get that gold this time rather than bronze. So, but at the same time, I think I need to do it a step at a time. Need to get fit first and healthy. And if everything else at home is okay, and I'm not getting into it too much because I need to balance everything, then we'll go from there. So I think, yes, I do want to be active again, but we'll see how my body handles it and balancing and managing life too. So it's very easy to go, yes, I want to be British champion again, but now I'm 34. It's not as simple as that.
We've all got bills to pay now.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean.
But
Yeah.
if I'm sitting there with a bad shoulder again, then or anything else, it's not. When I was 23, it didn't matter. But it's different.
That's brilliant, mate.
Different now.
It's good to have. What about like as a coach? Have you got any goals as a coach?
Me and Brad are really ambitious. We want to be the best club in the UK. That might take us 20 years. We might not ever get there, but I think we'll get very, very close. Because even now, we're probably amongst the top 4 or 5, almost a year in. So I think if we keep pushing as much as we are and trying to help and work with people to grow the sports together, I think we will get there. Yes, we want to be an elite club, but at the same time, I want us to be a place where anyone can come down and feel in a safe space, train hard, have a laugh, have a drink afterwards or whatever it is, and just blow some steam off and forget about any stresses you might have for an hour and a half. So I think the deep roots of what we do, I think that has to be the number one goal, is just growing a community. For example, we've had a player who come down a couple of months ago. His name was Ron, and he was 79 years old, and he's one of the best freestyle wrestlers the country's ever had. And he popped in one day to train, and he's 79 years old, and he was doing some stuff with my dad, who's 66, and they was like doing some training together. And it was like, actually, maybe this is what it's all about, that an older gent can come down, he's made to feel really welcome, he's got out of the house and he's done a bit of fitness, nothing too intense for himself, and he's been made to feel really welcome. And for us seeing that, I was like, actually, this is the best part of it, the giving back and seeing somebody do something that maybe they couldn't have done a year ago. So you'd think
Definitely.
79, you don't need to be doing that again. But he come down, he had his wrestling singlet on with the Union Jack, and he's like, "No, I'm going to do a bit of training." And I was like, "Wow, this is brilliant." So yeah, being an elite club and having trophies is great, but I think giving back to the community is the best bit for me.
Definitely. Because I think that with us, with the freestyle wrestling, we're trying to get it's very grassroots. We're trying to get all the kids through the door to do so, and again, help it grow, help it build up. And we got the same with the jiu-jitsu. We've got lots of kids in trying to again build it and push it through. And no, I think that's that's a brilliant thing for any club to do because
Yeah.
you're just helping it grow and opening it up to more people. And yeah, no, good work, good work. So if people are listening to this then and I'm liking the idea of this Island Sambo, or maybe these guys sound good, maybe we could get them down to our club for a seminar or something. What's the best way to get hold of you?
So probably on Facebook. So if you search for Island Sambo Club, you'll see us pop up. So we have a group page and like a fan page as well. So me and my brother run it all the time. So if you pop us a message or a comment on that, we'll get back to you
I'll
probably
copy that
really.
in the show notes on the
Yeah,
website as well, then and they can click on that and
perfect.
get through. No, but that's brilliant. It's opened my eyes a lot more to the world of sambo now because I know it's been there, but it's like you say, it's been the sort of a hidden secret in Britain. I feel Sambo has
I
been
think so. Yeah,
as a grappling art.
don't want to do the people that have run it an injustice because they've done a really incredible job. But I think now it's about exposing it to the wider audience. I think, and with that we can then. I think the level is great. I think it's about having more higher level people. So the people at the top in Sambo, like myself and others, are very high level, but we just need 5 or 6 of us in every weight category instead of
Yeah,
one here, one there, if that makes sense. So I think like using the contacts me and my brother have through the judo world as well. Like I said, it's not a given you'll be a good sambo player, but you've got a good head start, I'd say, and a good base to go on if you want. And at the same time, for me, when I was 14, 15, 16, I wish I had sambo as well as my judo back then. Because when I was number one in the country, it was very hard to stay number one in the country at any sport. So one year I'll be number one, but the next I'll be number three, then number two, and then I might come back to number one again. So getting the real top tournaments, I'd sometimes miss out on. Whereas if I was to go over to Sambo when I was younger, I would have got more of those top tournaments that would have helped
just that
both
level of
sports as
no,
well.
okay, yeah,
So
to
that's my
complement each
only
other.
my wish, and that's what me and Brad are trying to instill into people, especially top judo players. If you're listening or have worked with us, this could be some tools to gain to get your goals in judo, as well as having some another sport similar that you can achieve well in as well. So I think next year, me and Brad would like to start a judo class into what we're offering as well. Because as athletes, we are a judo sambo crossbreed. That's who we are.
Yeah,
So I think the next step for us is to introduce the judo club into it as well, so we can start producing athletes in both. So we'll see, but
excellent.
that is high on our agenda for next year, hopefully.
That sounds brilliant because again, it's another string to the bow, and it just
Yeah.
helps develop the guys you have got and maybe draws some more in. So as that sort of final thought type thing, then anyone listening to this now who's thought about doing sambo, maybe from whatever grappling background, and they're still a little bit, oh, I don't know, or maybe about this or that, or whatever. What would be that sort of advice would you give them if they're someone who's been thinking about trying it and maybe hasn't given it a go yet? What advice would you give them?
I think just come and give it a go. I think ask any questions you have to us and we'll answer them and be honest with you of what. But I think just come and give it a go. And I think you'll be surprised. Hopefully you really enjoy it and hopefully you learn something that you hadn't before. Even like myself, when me and Brad started Sambo, we were black belts in judo. The first Sambo class we ever done, we learned tons. So I'm confident if a British judo champion like myself was to come through our doors, he or she would learn lots too. You never stop learning.
Excellent. And any other final thoughts from yourself?
No, really. I think for me, it's just if you're thinking of giving it a go, don't make up excuses in your head as to why you can't do it. Just try and get the confidence to come and give it a go, and then you'll find actually it wasn't that bad. I'll ache for a couple of days, but if you then come back again and again and again, it will do wonders for your confidence as well as learning new skills as well. So I think nowadays I find people are a little bit hesitant to do stuff, or a bit more don't just go for it anymore. People are afraid to take a risk. I think just take that little risk. I don't think there's any risk to really take of coming down to a club. We'll look after you. You'll be part of a great community, and I'm sure you enjoy it, hopefully.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to join us today and take us through your sort of your journey from judo to sambo. It's been really good listening to it, and I learned a lot just from listening to it. So one day, hopefully, I'll get on the mat with you as well, and you can batch me and
Anytime.
show me a few other things.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Casey, for joining us this week. It was great to hear about the world of Sambo and how it fits into the great grappling tree that we are all a branch of. We'll be back next week with another guest. In the meantime, to keep up with everything that's going on in the Grapple of the Eye show, you can check out our mothership, which is the grappleofyoureye.com. That's our big website with all our past episodes and social medias and all our links and things on there. If you are someone who likes to watch our podcasts, then a new episode drops every Thursday at 7 a.m. UK time. That's on our YouTube channel. If you like to listen, you can listen along on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, Podcatcher, Podchaser, and all the other pod things that are out there. And again, that drops at 7 a.m. UK time every Thursday. Now, please, if you are on these, give us a like or a subscribe or a follow or whatever the equivalent is on that particular device. These things really do make a big difference to us. And any reviews, whether it's on episodes, on the show overall, can really help lift us out of the mire that is the world of the podcasting charts, where there's all sorts there. Some of it's been there years and never had a new episode, but no, we get stuck behind them and we're clawing our way up. So anything that you can do to help us is really, really appreciated. Give us a share as well. Recommend us to people. Help spread our little grappling community. It really is appreciated. But anyway, I've been your host, Brett Summers. I'll be back next week with another guest for our 50th episode. Wow, 50. Feeling old now. But anyway, we'll be back. In the meantime, we want you to stay safe and stay on the mats. Goodbye.